By 2035 in Europe, petrol cars will be a thing of the past. It will be forbidden to sell new ones. That's why today we're paying tribute to a legendary car at the end of its career, the Audi R8. Today, Audi is seen as a competitor to Mercedes and BMW. But in the 60s, things were different. To drive the brand forward, Ferdinand Piëch took over the management of the company in the 70s. He knows what he wants to do, make Audi better by developing the technology of its cars. With the Quattro four-wheel drive system, which allowed Audi to be very ambitious in the world of rallying. This technology, the Quattro, was then rolled out to production cars. In the early 90s, they launched a number of sports cars, the RS2, RS4 and RS6. These cars have become as legendary as any of their competitors, with the AMG or BMW M badge. At the end of the 90s, Audi decided to enter the 24 Hours of Le Mans race. They were right to do so, as they dominated the competition. So in 2003, Ferdinand Piëch said, come on, let's move up a gear. The project is launched. It begins with the beautiful Le Mans concept. And then the very first Audi R8, a spectacular car. It was unveiled in 2007 with the V8 engine, sourced from the Audi RS4 of the time. Today, the Audi R8 has a V10, but let's look back. When this Audi R8 arrived in 2007, well, it was a sensation. In the world of sports cars, it was a very innovative, very dynamic, very inspired proposition. Everyone was seduced by this new car. And this engine, this V10, only arrived in 2009 to power the Audi R8. And it was a new evolution of the V10 that first appeared on the Lamborghini Gallardo in 2003. Displacement has been increased from 5 litres to 5.2 litres. This Audi R8 Phase 2 was sold until 2014. Then came the second generation. This is it. And in terms of design, it was less striking than the first generation. The Audi R8 has become conformist, and its silhouette is taller. There was none of the magic of the first Audi R8. Audi, thankfully, redesigned the car in 2018, and the restyling was very successful. It's amazing how little you can do to make a car look better.
The Audi R8 has always had two main advantages. The damping is more comfortable than that of a current Porsche 911, and a transmission that is absolutely jolt-free. It's hard to do better for everyday use with such a radical car. No, in fact, it's absolutely impossible. And then to reveal the second quality of the R8, to experiment with it, you have to play with the modes. We switch to dynamic mode, we switch the gearbox to manual mode, and then you rediscover one of the coolest things about a sports car of this type. It's right behind me. That's right, it's the V10 engine. This V10 engine develops up to 620 PS in the R8 and 640 PS in the most radical versions of the Huracan. Clearly one of the finest engines to be used in sports driving in the world today, because it has a unique sound compared to other sports car engines. The sound is very characteristic of this V10 and has not changed much over the generations. A very torquey engine, even at low revs. A high-performance V10 that stands head and shoulders above other naturally aspirated units. The car we have is an RWD Performance version. Base price, 160,000 euros. And that's exactly the price of a Porsche Cayman GT4 RS, which also boasts an exceptional naturally aspirated engine, a flat 6 that revs up to 9,000 RPM. But this V10 doesn't rev quite as high, around 8,500 RPM. In terms of sound, I don't think we're losing out compared to the flat 6, and in my opinion, in terms of the engine's character, well, it's even better. In terms of road handling, the R8 is a very dynamic car, but one that is somewhat despised by purists, because it's true that in terms of driving feel, it's not as refined and tactile as a McLaren with its hydraulic steering, or a Porsche with its very heavy steering and very sporty controls. This has always been a deliberate philosophy in the R8. Above all, the brake pedal response is not as sporty as in a McLaren or a Porsche, because here the response is a little changeable, sometimes a little spongy. It's true that it comes as a bit of a surprise at first, but in terms of braking power and endurance, we're at a very, very high level. And above all, it's important to keep things in perspective, because no matter how much you quibble about the lightness or feel of the brake pedal, it's still a very, very high level in absolute terms. Even with all the driving aids switched off, you can still make good progress behind the wheel. But that's not what the R8 is all about. It's simply designed to provide a fantastic driving experience, just like the best Porsches, the best McLarens, and the best Lamborghinis.
So yes, it's true, this R8 doesn't achieve the incredible precision of its more extreme rivals, but in its own way, the Audi embodies a certain idea of the dream sports car by making a rather improbable leap between the mechanical thrills of the supercar world and the comfort of the best GT cars. If you ask me, I think the best version is the R8 Spyder, to make the most of the V10 and make it even more beautiful. But there's still a feeling of frustration after 15 years in the business when it comes to this German car, which has never dared to go as far as its Lamborghini cousin in terms of sport. The latest R8 GT, for example, is a barely improved version of the R8 RWD. It has nothing to do with the devilish driving dynamics of a Huracan Estilo, for example, with a V10 pushed to the limit and a thoroughly reworked chassis. It's all the more frustrating given that German tuner ABT has just unveiled a completely insane R8 road car, the XGT, which is practically a racing R8 GT2, but it's road legal. In any case, now that the R8 is going to the museum, there's still hope. In the classified ads, you can still find R8 with the V8 engine for 50,000 euros and R8 V10 Spyders Phase 2 for 90,000 euros. At a time when all internal combustion engines are being phased out, it's hard to see how these cars will make it out of the market in the future. And yes, we're going to miss that naturally aspirated V10.
The sun has set, so it's a bit of a metaphor for the R8, whose career is coming to an end. You have to admit that on the scale of life's pleasures, and this kind of car is quite something. So yes, it could perhaps come back as an electric car in the future. I don't know if it will be as good as that though.